Hey, everyone, it's another Friday. Email and Coffee with Joy Brooks. And today I have the extra special, hey, Grandma!
Hey, honey.
So, Phyllis is going to tell
Um,
us a little bit about herself, and then we'll begin the conversation.
okay. The short version is I am Phyllis Williams-Strawder. I'm known as the Ghetto Country Brandmother in my business and I'm the founder of, put it that way, of Grandma's House. And it's where personal brands go to grow the fuck up because I do not have time for brand babies being brand babies the rest of their business days. You can always visit grandmashouse.com and then you'll find me. So let's just put that on out there before we get on into this. So come on. What's going on, Miss Joy?
So, I really like it when you say grow the fuck up, because
Yes.
a lot of the business um, is sort of based on, marketing hasn't changed in a long time.
Yes.
But the uniqueness of marketing is that service, is that product that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to be in that space, you're going to need to do a serious amount of introspection. Right now, we're not talking about being an influencer. We're
No.
not talking necessarily about being your own brand. We're simply talking about there's a service that I have. I mean, at the core level, there's
Mm-hmm.
a service that I can provide. Um, I need to be the grown up here, and I need to do some things in order to sell my service. I mean, very
Yes.
core, very
Mm.
basic.
Yes.
So, how how do you? I come to you and I'm like, I've got this brand. I do a podcast, um, and how can you help me? Like, I come to you like that. Let's say I
Okay.
was actually doing this. Let's pretend that I'm
Let's
doing.
pretend. Okay. The first thing you said to me is that you have a brand. What makes you think it's a brand? That would be my first question. And depending on how you answer that, I can say yay or nay. Because a lot of times the part that people get stuck on is the visual brand. It's all the things and the pretty colors and all that kind of stuff. And that's where they think that I've done all of this, but they haven't decided where the brand is going. So when you do brand strategy for a business, they always talk about purpose, mission, vision, and values. Don't nobody give a fuck about that if you're only a business of one, two, or three. You're not a corporation. So trying to make that connection of purpose, mission, vision, and values means squat. But when you're doing it on a smaller level, on a more intimate level, on an independent business level, then the branding all starts with you. And so when I talk about a personal brand being a parent brand, it's like everything gets to grow out of this, out of every idea. And especially if you're a shiny object chaser like me, all these things grow out of that. And so now how are you going to brand this brand to the sub brand to, and all of that stuff is connected. But no one talks about brand architecture at the independent level. They want to dismiss you as a small business. Oh, you know what? Well, you just need to go market. And then, so what they tell you to do as a small business, go out and hand out coupons, give away free shit. I can least afford it. Corporations can. I cannot. I don't do free shit. And when somebody reminded me, like Phyllis, everybody says it now. It's like, I don't give discounts to strangers. Sweetie, I don't know you like that. Why would I give you a discount? So if you're going to brand something, to brand it means that I want to go from here to there. That's the branding process. And so when you just stop at the visual parts where you got all the pretty colors and design the website and the templates, and you never think about your positioning, you never think about your message, you never think about, okay, if I want to be known in this industry, because you got to be famous for something. I don't care if you're only famous to 100 people, you got to be fucking famous to those 100 people. So how are you going to do that? And that's where strategic branding comes in. So if you say, I want to be in the top 100 podcasts within a certain genre or something, how are we going to make that happen? That has to be based on the brand strategy, not the brand itself. And if you're putting out inconsistent messages, like a lot of times what we see now when people who consider themselves a brand, which I fucking hate, but what you see them do is that they turn their lives into content. Oh, well, people need to get to know me better. All the fuck you need to know is, can I help you? Now, I may share some intimate details on the way because they're relatable to how I got to being able to help you. But to just tell you how I butter my toast and how I pour my coffee and me sipping on the porch with a cigar ain't got nothing to do with nothing. So it's like, okay, if we're going to call this a brand, where is it going? Because if it's just going to stay stagnant, trust and believe you're going to stay in hustle and grind mode, which a lot of people like, oh, I'm so tired of the hustle and grind. Sweetie, you're doing it because you don't have a strategic brand. You have a visual brand. You've done all the things to make your business look good, but now you got to talk about it and be about it. And so how are you going to step out on that? So that's where that whole conversation would start.
And that's the growing up part. I mean, that's the difficult part. The brand is easy. And one of the things aside from me screaming about strategy all the time, the other word I say all the time is sustainable. Mm-hmm. It's like, if you're going to come up with a plan, is that, okay, what is the plan? Is it sustainable? Yeah. How does it grow up? Because maybe you may be doing this for 6 months. After 6 months, where does it go from there? And is it cohesive? Does it evolve, or does it just suddenly go bam? And you're like, people are going, where did that come from? And those are, those are obviously, when you've got a business, you think about the 3-month plan, the 6-month plan, the 9-month plan. Usually at 9 months, you're like, this is not working. Yeah. Or this is working. Wow.
But I don't want to do it anymore.
Exactly. And in 9 months, you're like, okay, now I've got to think about next year, the full year. Now you're starting to, roll out that red carpet and thinking about what didn't work before the other 9 months. How do I switch it up? What do I do? It's difficult to manage sustainable marketing without it becoming boring.
Yes, especially when you're the one trying to run the business, be the business, do the business. When you're wearing all the hats, it's a whole ass situation. And I constantly hear from so-called experts, and I don't know if you guys have like the SBA, the SBDC, and all of these organizations that go and they're there to help us to a certain extent. And they're there to tell us to work on our business instead of in our business. But you know what? I know how to do what I know how to do. The shit that you're telling me that I need to do to work on my business, I don't know that. I don't know how to brand and market. I know how to sew. I know how to cook. I know how to consult. I know how to advise. I don't know branding and marketing. So telling me to work on my business don't mean shit, because that is not my gift. And then when I'm forced to do it, I get discouraged. I get despondent. I get complacent. It's like, fuck it. I'll just stick with what I know. So your business never goes anywhere. But you have to have a level of branding education to know how you want this thing to do its thing. And if you don't pay someone to do it, then trust and believe it is going to take you longer to go through this process. But and you said it, when we talk about growing the fuck up in our business, sweetie, there's a level of maturity to this thing that you have to understand. You know what? I have to be accountable and responsible. And learning these things early within your business will let you know if you actually want to do this. When I talk about it from my perspective, I'm talking about life, brand, and business, because there's no point in building a brand that impacts your life negatively. That whole people pleasing shit, which is done by big marketing, they're there to people please. They will fire an employee in order to save a customer. So they're there to people please. But when you're doing it at this level as an independent business, and I'm saying that because I get tired of the word of small business. That shit just irks me. But when you're doing this at a level of independent business, then how does that hit? And if you don't recognize that, you know what, there are some things that I need to change. There's a message I need to get out and be consistent. And coming from a restaurant industry, they are notorious for just thinking it's all about the food. I do not dine out because of the food. My husband cooks too fucking good for me to dine out for the food. I dine out because I don't want to eat his food right now. I dine out because I don't want to clean up the kitchen. I'm dying now because I don't want him to make a big ass mess because he's a messy cook. So then my messaging would be clear. And when I start a restaurant, you know you don't want to do no dirty dishes. We're going to go ahead and sit you down and make you a burger so you can relax. We're going to clean up the mess and let you go home. That's a clear and apparent message. I ain't telling you shit about the food because the what is it? The flavor or the goodness of food is subjective.
Mm-hmm.
If you just think my burgers are okay, but you like that I said I'm gonna clean up all your shit when you're done, that's what you're coming for. You ain't coming for the fucking burger. The burger's average, but oh, the service. They're gonna clean up, they're gonna do all the things. And they might even give me if I smoke after what I eat, they might give me a cigarette going out the door. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But there has to be this level of, you know what, I have to take ownership and responsibility for this. And I can't blame it on somebody's fucking algorithm. I can't blame it on no foot traffic. Sweetie, standing outside giving out samples, people gonna eat free all day long. But what else are you doing?
Right. What else? What else are you not doing? And
Yes.
that's sort of I mean, people don't necessarily think past that point where their business is started and it's working. They don't necessarily think about that evolution. They don't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily um, give up um, what they can't do anymore. In other words, the business grows. It grows to a point where I can't do that anymore. I
Mm-hmm.
used to do that really well,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't. And there are some, it's not a sacrifice, it's growing up. When you say, I need to hire somebody to do this now. So
Yeah.
I need to begin to, focus on this because this is what is needed right now. You have to be able to be willing to admit that, okay, you know what? The message was great. The mission is still there. The message was great, but I need to work on that message. In the meantime, I can't work on the message, get the emails out, do the commercials, do the design, make sure everybody's, you can't do all those things. You've got to
Yeah.
be able to say, okay, here's where I can hire someone.
Mm-hmm.
And in many cases, that's where the solopreneur and the entrepreneurship different they
Separate.
change, they
Yeah.
separate, because the
Yeah.
solopreneur is going to continue to do it on their own.
Yeah.
Their business is never meant to be sold. Their business is never meant to be managed by anybody but perhaps a virtual assistant. They're not.
They're
It's a
not looking to
entrepreneurship for a
they
reason.
want to be a freelancer the rest of their days. Yes.
Right, exactly. But the entrepreneur is different. They're the ones with a full, they're the ones who come up with the idea. They're the ones that create the ambiance, create whatever it is that they're doing. They have vision.
Mm-hmm.
That vision can be sold, lock, stock, and barrel. They can
Yeah.
be in it for 2 years and say, here it is.
And that's the brand. That's
And
what
that's
you
the
sold.
brand. It's not them. It's not, it started off by being their personal brand, but they create something out of nothing. And of course, it's a service or a product or whatever. There's a need for it, but it can be sold, and that's the difference between the solopreneur and the entrepreneur. Now, the solopreneur still needs the help, but the function, the methods that they get it are different. They get coached.
Mm-hmm.
The solopreneur gets coached, but it's them, right? That they're performing. The entrepreneur hires or takes on
The
the
responsibility.
solopreneur. The entrepreneur hires the solopreneur.
Yes. Yes.
They don't
Yeah.
hire the solopreneur necessarily as an employee. They may hire the solopreneur. You're going to be my content writer. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that's what the solopreneur sells. In the meantime, both of them
Are
at
getting what they want.
some level have a brand that they're selling. It's just a different vibrations. Really, the solopreneur still needs to be out there.
I think the solopreneur, depending on what the solopreneur wants for their business, they are more impactful with the personal brand. They don't necessarily need a business brand. And I hear some freelancers and solopreneurs asking, like, do I need both? Sweetie, that's totally up to you. If you don't plan on growing beyond the business of one, why do you need a business brand? If you don't plan on selling your business, why do you need a business brand? The only thing you need to do is market your business. And so you market that through a personal brand. But if you plan on growing beyond this and you know that one day somebody's going to want to come along and offer you millions for your business, then in addition to your personal brand, it has to be aligned with the business brand. And so that alignment, because I tell my clients, you get to keep the personal brand. That's you. You can take it wherever you go. But the business brand is for everybody else. It's for whoever you hire, it's for your clients, it's for your vendors. All of those people get to grab hold to the business brand. But not enough people will take their personal brand and endorse the business brand, so everybody keeps coming to you for the work. No, Grandma's House does the work. Ghetto Country Brandmother is just part of it. But when I tell you to come to Grandma's House, that's because I know at some point there are going to be other brand parents. I won't be the only one. And that's how I plan to grow my business and scale my business. So with that understanding, I have to make sure the people, you go to Grandma's House. What kind of brand parent do you need? Oh, do you need a soccer mom type or do you need a jujitsu dad? Because we're going to have these, because we need to know what type of person you need to engage with in order for you to listen, in order to grow your business and your brand. But if I just wanted to say, I just wanted to be the Ghetto Country Brandmother forever and a day, forget Grandma's House. I just need a landing page to go collect some emails so that I can keep in touch with my clients.
Mm-hmm.
So you're totally right. It hits different. It hits different. And if you think that you have to have a brand, sweetie, honestly, you do not. Now, I'll even put that out there. Not everybody even needs a brand, because you might be a great ass salesman. You love walking. You love being on the hunt. You know what? I want that person for a client. Let me go get them. So you go out, you hunt that person, you close the deal, you're done. It didn't take any marketing. It didn't take any branding. It took a conversation and some confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And that may be your thing. That's why there are salesmen in the world, or salespeople in the world.
Mm-hmm.
They know how to close a deal.
Mm-hmm.
That's not your thing. So what do you have to do? You have to brand and market. Get it together. So
Yeah, on the corporate level, marketing was always the vehicle for the salesperson, so that the salesperson, I need some assets to bring to the meeting. I need you to help me with the event. And marketing was always there to
yes,
help.
yeah,
But when it comes to that's on the big corporate level. But when it goes down to um, the the small endeavor,
independent
the
business.
small company, we don't want to call it the small business, but a small company that maybe has one or two products, one or two
Mm-hmm.
services, um, where many times it's a salesman that starts the business.
Yes, yeah,
Not necessarily, the salesman comes up with a service, so it's not a tangible good. It's not like a pair of shoes.
mm-hmm.
Comes up with a tangible service that he can sell, that he can, uh, maybe even multi-level market, where
Mm-hmm.
I'll sell it to you, and I can teach you how to sell it, type of a thing, and that's a viable market. It's
Yeah,
viable. They at some level they'll need marketing, but at the beginning it's the salesman's voice that's managing it. And in many cases, in the case of myself, when I decided to go into email marketing, and I thought that I would do it through an agency, and I thought, oh, I'll create the agency. Well, that was the 3-month plan, where at 3 months I was like, hell no, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. This is nothing. This is not, I just want to do the work. I'm going to be able to roll up my sleeves and do email marketing.
mm-hmm.
I don't want people whining to me. I don't want people questioning me. I don't want to build the brand. I don't want a house. I don't want any of this stuff. It's really simple. I like to work.
Yeah,
Just work.
yeah,
So at that point, I didn't need a brand. I needed to find an agency to work for. So that's what I did. I didn't need a brand. Well, years later, after I developed my own talent and I have somewhat of a name in email marketing, it came to pass that I wanted to do a podcast and then I wanted to do a mastermind. Now there's a brand. So I done grewed up.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened. That's the point. Did I
Yeah.
think then? No, I went through, okay, I'm going to do an agency. No, that's not what I want to do. What am I capable of doing? I mean, I had to pull up my pants
Yeah.
and say, it's probably the most important thing to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
How do I want to get paid? What do I want to do? I could do a lot of things. Okay, what do I enjoy doing? Oh, right now it's email marketing. Can I do it? I did it. Okay. Bravo. But then it came to a point when I recognized I have intangibles, no longer service, so it's not just email marketing. I have
Mm-hmm.
intangibles that I could sell. I have a mastermind that, I mean, you can't hold on to a mastermind. And I've got a podcast. Again, can't hold on to a podcast. What am I going to do here? And so email and coffee was born. And again, 3 months. I'm going to do the podcast for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
If it's sustainable, if I could do this, I'll keep going. 6 months. I need a brand. This is a deal. This exists. I'm enjoying this.
Mm-hmm.
I needed somebody to create the brand. So they created the brand. But more than just, okay, a picture. Now I need to, put the shit together. I gotta keep going with this. And it's become a mental exercise,
It is.
a strategy of how do I charge them? What, all of these things. And these are, these, it's sort of like the younger generation does not want to work corporate and they all want to be influencers. What I'm doing is not necessarily being an influencer. I have some tried and true programs that I can provide as a service. If you come out of school, if you're a young person, let's say, and you're saying, I'm going to be a coach or I'm going to get certified, or I'm going to do this, and they come to you, what's the kind of discussion you have with them? Because I
would
think that
say,
this is common.
here's the thing. I am known for not working with millennials, especially when they're trying to do something that they haven't road tested themselves. I don't have a problem with them coming to me because, like I say, my youngest brand baby, he was in his 20s. He had no entrepreneurial affiliation whatsoever. He didn't know anyone that had ever had their own business. But he understood what he wanted. So I was willing to work with him. And this was based on him building out a vaping business. But if you're coming at me with something that you've never done and you want to charge the same as someone who's been in the game for 20 years, sweetheart, you're dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
When I talk about grow the fuck up, be real.
That's
Be real. If
it's
you're going to do
horrible.
this, we can start it with a baby brand of some kind. It's like, okay, you can only charge $100 because you don't have the experience. But with each new client you get, you build up that experience and we can raise your price profile later on. But right now, if you're starting here, it's like, well, I want to coach coaches. Have you ever hired a coach? Most of them have not. Have you ever been to a coach? Like even for a free session? Most have not. But then you want people to sit around and, oh, well, can you be on my advisory board? Sweetie, you're just trying to pick my brain for free. No, I don't want to be on your advisory board.
Yeah.
No, I don't necessarily want to be a mentor. I get to choose who I mentor. You don't get to choose me. And that's me being a bit selfish with my time because I have to want to do it. And because I'm sweetie, I was born selfish. I own that. So I'm very particular about who I spend my time with. And I don't like spending time with people who are money grubbing individuals. But I do want people who are willing to charge a fair price for what they do.
Right.
Sweetie, if you know that if I see the value in that, oh, I will tell you to add a zero on it in a heartbeat. But if it's just, well, I'm just trying to get paid, I am not the one for you. I don't
Right.
build brands on getting paid. I build brands based on having impact. Getting paid is just a bonus.
And there's a
I
lot of
have
innovation to be made. There really is. There really is.
yes,
And there are a
yes,
lot of niches. So, people, you don't necessarily, you, the wheel can take on so many different colors, shapes, sizes, all of these things, and they're built for particular niches. If, if you work at it, you can recreate the wheel,
yes.
but it's
But
work. It's
yeah,
work,
yeah.
right? And
And
that's,
it's building a better mousetrap. That's all it is. And because there's nothing new under the sun, the most unique thing about your business is you. So how do you turn that into a brand? How do you build out that personal brand to make sure that people understand, you know what, I can talk the walk and I can walk the talk. I'm ambidextrous in that way, put it like that. So when I talk about personal branding, sweetie, I've been rocking a personal brand for dang near 15 years, over 15 years. And when I was doing it, I didn't see anything special about it. I just stepped into it. I was Mrs. Mister within my last business. That's how people knew me. That's how I engaged. That's how I got on TV. That's how I got interviewed. People was always like, where's Mrs. Mister? Even now, my husband still does TikTok and food videos and stuff. And he's like, your wife ain't at the end. We not gonna listen to you. Because in that mode, they don't call me Mrs. Mister because they don't know me as that, but I am built into his brand of, if you're gonna do this, then we gotta have Phyllis taste the food at the end. That's part of his brand. So when you come out here and you decide that you're going to show up a certain way, sweetie, you know that old saying, don't start now, won't be none. If you don't want certain things in your brand, then don't do it. And this is why I talk about boundaries. If you're going to have a brand, you need to have boundaries, especially with a personal brand. And not enough people implement that.
mhm.
Because like I say, we hear that content is king. We hear that everything is content and I am my brand. All of this shit has rolled up into, put your private life on display. But you don't even know how to have an intimate relationship with one-on-one with one person. So since you can't do that, you rather dump all of your shit onto your social media. I'm just telling people how it is. And I want people to really know me. No, you have no friends in your life that you can actually have a conversation with to share those things with. So you share with an audience.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's it. And
Yeah,
that is not branding. That is just you talking shit.
yeah. That's the easy way. They have the formula, the LinkedIn formula, whatever, where you do this, you'll get a click, and you'll get engagement, and then you'll move up, and more people will see you. The algorithm, and
Yes.
right now, it's not that I have anything against the algorithm, but I'm merely saying put put some passion into it and say it the way you want to say it. And stop with the algorithm. Stop working the algorithm. People recognize um, your true worth pretty quickly. And
Mhm.
if you're complaining that the algorithm isn't working, it's because you're not putting anything into it. You don't need
Nobody
that.
wants to engage with your shit, and you don't want to own that part of it.
Exactly. I don't need to hear your, I'll just say it once. I don't need to read that long story because I'll get everything out of the first two sentences and
Yeah.
it's done. I'm like, okay, so you're going to tell me about your shopping trip? I really don't care. How is that going to impact my life? Now, a lot of people say, oh, but I'm telling you about an experience that I've had and its value and I'm vulnerable and all these terms. Those are using all the keywords, but you've got nothing sustainable. You're not connecting it. You're not doing anything. You're
You don't
just
do anything with it.
going
No.
through the motions.
Yeah.
So you really need to be unique. And sometimes it's difficult. I understand. I'm there with you. It's difficult.
Mhm.
Do
Yeah.
you have like, do you have like motivational words for it happens to us all. We get to a point where like, oh God, this is not working. And sometimes you'll say, yeah, you're right, it ain't. Sometimes the person's just
Yeah.
exhausted, burnt out.
Mhm.
It's working, but maybe it's it's doing this and it's about to do that, but right
Mhm.
here it's doing this.
Mhm.
And it happens. I've seen it happen. I
Yeah.
mean, I do
There's a
metrics and
price
being a
tag.
marketer. I've seen it
Yeah.
happen. It needs to saturate to some level, and then it suddenly exponentially grows.
Mhm.
Do you have those conversations with people where you know that there's talent, more talent,
Um,
as opposed to
tell people I'm like the little boy in the Sixth Sense, but instead of seeing dead people, I see brand people.
okay,
And it's like sometimes people can tell me about their gifts and talents, and I automatically start thinking, how can we make money at this? Because that's just how my mind works. And because I can be a force of nature and I can like, oh, babe, we can do this, this, and this. I had an interview with a guy, and when he started telling me all of his different things that he could do, and I'm like, we can tie this together and we can make it look like this. This is $1 million business. Dude said, but I only want to make about 75,000 a year. So it's like bringing that way down. And it's like, even though I can see potential and want people to have all the money, that's not necessarily what they want. But neither will I sit here and play in your pity party. It's like, okay, how long and one of the questions I ask people, how long do you give how long do you give yourself time to reset? And they were like, well, what do you mean? Okay, when you have a setback, how long are you going to sit here and feel sorry for yourself before we need to kick this back in gear? And a lot of people don't think about that. It's like, I'm just going to feel bad as long as I need to feel bad because it's some woo woo shit. Okay. I can still feel bad. I can still have tears streaming down my face, but give me 24 hours and I'll be sitting here crying, typing out whatever I need to type out and getting shit done. Because the only reason to continue to cry is if I'm thinking about giving up. And if I'm thinking about giving up, then I shouldn't be doing shit anyway.
it's
So
kind of
if you want some motivation, sweetie, what do you need me to tell you? Because I already think you're great. I tell people all the time, you cannot charge your worth because you're fucking priceless as a person. You can charge for the work. I see all kind of value in you, but if you don't see it, my words don't mean anything. Because unfortunately, they tell us we have to tell ourselves 10 good things to get rid of the one bad thing somebody said to us. And it's like, because we rather believe the bad over the good, I can only talk so long. At some point, you're going to have to get your punk ass up and we're going to have to go do some work. And if you think that is harsh, then sweetie, I am not the one to work with you because I don't want to see you sit here and say you want something, but not work at what you want. That's pointless. To sit here and say, you know what, one day, really? When is one day? Oh, I don't know. I want to write my book one day.
someday, like, yeah, okay.
Someday, one day.
Today is Sunday. Today is Sunday.
And it's like, if you want to write the book, write the book. But what if nobody buys it? Who gives a fuck? You just want to write the book. I
Yes.
wrote my memoirs, what, 2019? It still sells on occasion, but I don't push that book. I wrote it for me first. Actually, I wrote it for my daughter. But then I purged my demons in that book.
Mhm.
And so if nobody ever reads it, you know what? It's out there. When people always talk about, well, we want to get to know you, but I told all my dirty secrets and insecurities in that book. If you ever want to know anything, that's what you go read. But don't sit here and ask me, tell me about your life. Sweetie, what do you want to know? I'm a
Yeah.
ghetto girl. I was raised hood adjacent by a country mom. That's where the ghetto country comes from. I've had a hard life. I was never into drugs. There's a whole lot of story to this. What story do you want? The only thing that seems to be relevant as far as I'm concerned is what stories that can I tell that got me here. One of the stories I was thinking about earlier, because I was listening to some Chris Doe had said, and the thing about going from being motherless to being a grandma, that's a whole journey in itself. Because back in the day when I was younger and feeling unloved, I was trying to get pregnant by any and everybody. I did not care. I was doing all the things. And people may have thought of me as being a hoe and a slut and all. No, I was trying to have a baby. I was trying to get pregnant because I thought that was going to fill a hole up in me. I wanted to be a mother. I didn't become a mother until I was 42. That's when I had my child. all them years later. But even before that, I realized I don't need a child to make me a mother. I was a mother long before I gave birth. That's the part I had to own. And now I'm able to be a brand mom. Oh, baby, I'm going to nurture the hell out of you to get this shit going because we need to go make you some money because I don't need you depending on everybody else. I want you to be interdependent, but I don't want you dependent on everybody else. I don't need you to get fish. I need you to learn how to fish. Let's get your ass up and let's go do this thing. So that's the kind of mother I am. And that's the kind of love, that's the level of motherhood I bring into businesses. So going from not being a mother to now being a brand mother is everything to me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's understanding and even knowing this part, like when we talk about growing the fuck up, when we talk about branding and we talk about personal brands, there are some personal stories in there that, you know what, how did this story impact where you are now? And that's what you need to consider. You don't have to trot out everyday life. Sweetie, I know how to put toothpaste on a toothbrush. I know how to, well, I ain't got no hair no more, but I know how to brush my hair. I know how to go make my
You have as
espresso
much
with my
hair as I
coffee.
do.
Yeah,
Go ahead. There you go.
there you go. But it's all of these different things that when you look back and how they impact where you are. My dad was one of my biggest cheerleaders, but I realized he was also one of my biggest haters because he wanted me to have all the power to do the things that he wanted me to do. But when my narrative didn't fit what he wanted for me, oh, you can't do that. That's a waste of your time. So it's looking back that you now see, how do I do this? What of this can I bring into here? And all of this journey, if I look at all the hater moments, it's like all these haters made me better at this thing. All the things that I thought was bad as parenting, I now can bring into my business to nurture people because there aren't enough parents in business that nurture in a certain way in business. Most parents push their kids, entrepreneurs push their kids into business. Oh, I'm raising my kid up to take over. That's like saying you want your daughter to wear your wedding dress. She don't want your funky ass dress unless it just happened to hit and it still look good and it's still a timeless and it's a classic. And that's what your brand needs to be, timeless and classic. It doesn't have to be trendy, but everybody's trying to follow a fucking trend. They're trying to be on point, be on fleek, be on all the things.
Well,
Sweetie,
those
you
are all
know,
the easy ways out, unfortunately, and
yes,
that shows no talent. And you know,
no,
that's a clear alarm to not being sustainable because you're like following a trend.
mm-hmm.
I've been asked many times, "Oh, Joy, we'd like to interview you. We'd like to do a video with you about email marketing trends for the year, next year, or whatever, this year, whatever." And I hate those, which is why I'll probably never be asked to do it again because there's not a trend to this. Marketing has not changed. The technology has,
Yeah,
but marketing is still the same thing.
the same thing.
They did it. The They used to have, somebody out front telling, scouting out areas, coming back and saying, this area is great. Don't go here. There are people over here. I mean, this is way back when. That was
Mm-hmm.
marketing. They were moving on. They needed somebody else to tell them what was out there, what to expect. And that person would also sell, hey, we got some great people coming here. They're going to be selling you this. They got this spice. They got that spice. You'll be wanting to see them. That was, marketing in the very beginning. And what didn't even have marketing. They were called scouts.
Yeah,
But the point
that was
is,
it.
the wheel was created one time, and now it's a million different variations,
Yeah,
and it will still be recreated because it is quintessential to the nature of humanity. We can't do anything at this point without a wheel. Not a damn thing.
not a
Everything is
damn
running on a
thing.
wheel.
If it ain't
Car,
round, it ain't working.
wheels, clocks. I mean,
Mhm.
everything runs. Take a look. Take anything apart.
Yeah,
It's a wheel. The wheel of time. So, it's just I find marketing to be fascinating. I really do. I really think everybody has marketing in their life in some way, shape, and form. It's sort of like negotiating. People will be like, "Oh, well, I don't do sales. I don't negotiate." I'm like, "Yeah, you do. Did you ever have an argument? Yeah. Well, guess what? Who won? Well, they did. Well, you suck at sales. You're letting them win all the time. Now, maybe they won because they won, but I'm just saying,
Mhm.
we, you know, we we're marketing ourselves. And at some point in time, it becomes a big deal. And some point it's just, I want to get married and I'm
Mhm.
marketing myself.
And see,
But go
no,
ahead.
I just want to say, you say it's marketing. I call it a pimp game. I
Yeah,
don't care who you are and what you do, it's a pimp game.
yeah.
If you got cute, even if you got cute for yourself and you went out, trust and believe it's a pimp game. You are selling yourself to anybody that this attracts. And I don't mean it in a harsh way, but it is what it is.
Mhm,
So you don't nobody go out here just hoping no one notices them.
mhm.
There are people that try to hide, that have self-esteem issues and all that, because I used to be that person. I get it. But if we were our boldest self, our most courageous self, we come out here and we have no problem being seen. And if I have no problem being seen, then someone's going to be attracted to this. Because one of the most attractive things, I don't care how you look in the face, is confidence.
Mhm.
You can be cocky as hell. Arrogance, not so much. But confidence is fucking sexy.
Yes, it is.
And it's a pimp game. It's like, you know what? I come out here with the I can ask anybody out I want. I'm not saying I can get everybody, but I can ask out anybody. All they can do is tell me no. I can offer my service to anyone, and all they can do is tell me no. But if you continue to offer and ask the wrong people, sweetie, you're pimping yourself to the wrong audience. And
Right.
you will never make your money.
Right.
Ever make your money.
And anybody figures that out. It's like, who are my friends? Like if I keep on hanging out with the wrong people, and I don't recognize that,
Mm-hmm.
eventually I'm going to end up in trouble. If
Yeah.
if I keep on trying to sell to people who don't want or need, I'm never going to be able to, move my product or move my service. So, you've got to take that grown up look at yourself and say,
Yeah.
what? What is this all about? It hurts. That look at yourself at the micro level of just being the human being that gets in the car and goes to work every day and has a very small life. You still need to look at yourself and say, what is this package that I am?
Mhm.
And come up with something that works, that's sustainable, that makes you feel good at the end of the day, so that you're not constantly making the same mistakes, feeling that same I don't fit in,
Mhm.
you know, looking for people to fit in with, not necessarily um, looking for other people to identify you. In other words, you can find people that you fit in with,
Yeah.
but those people don't identify you,
Yeah. That part.
right? So they're not defining you, they're your friends.
Mhm.
And hopefully, what I said to someone recently who was talking about friends, and I said, listen, I know you're young and you want to have people to hang out with and do fun things and go on great vacations and do things Friday and Saturday night. I said, but it's really very important to find people that are going to lift you up and move you and stay with you thick and
Yeah.
thin. I said, those are really important people.
Yes.
They're not sexy people. Well, maybe they are, but generally speaking, they might be geeky or nerdy, right? They may not be the people that you want to be out in the bar that will attract whatever, but they're the people that are going to stick with you thick and thin. And they're also the people who are going to turn around to you say, that's really, that dress, no.
Yeah,
That
don't do
color,
that,
yeah.
sweetie.
That, you don't have enough money for that. No, don't do that. Oh, don't
Yeah.
don't risk that. Those are the people that you need in your life. And again, it's odd. It's marketing on the it's branding on the micro level of you want to take a business. Who does that business? Who's going to buy from you?
Yeah.
As opposed to I'm just a human being. Who's going to hang out with me?
Yeah. Yeah.
So moral marketing. And we don't necessarily need the big brand for the big product or the big, but we need to know the identity. And, when you go into business, you're taking that identity and then you're branding it.
And
You're
that's what a
taking
lot
that.
of people don't get, because
Yeah.
one of the things I found when I started studying branding more deeply was that because they say brand identity is the voice and the logo and all that kind of stuff. So that's on a business level. But when you're talking on a personal level, it's a whole different ballgame. So you cannot use company examples of fake personas as your definition of how to build a personal brand. It does not work. Like I said, I have no problem saying either one is a pimp game, but you pimp it differently.
Yeah.
Differently. And understanding that is like, okay, like you said, what is the identity of this? How do you want to identify this? Because, like I said, I identify as Ghetto Country Brandmother when I'm doing my thing. Phyllis is boring as fuck and half the time don't even want to be bothered with her husband and her child. Love them to pieces, ain't gonna leave them for nobody, will fight you to the death for them. But I'm a loner type, just on the regular.
Mhm.
But in my business, I cannot be that person. If I'm out to network, I'm actually going to have to network, because otherwise I will go sit in the corner and hope somebody will talk to me.
Right. And that may be Phyllis, but that's not Grandma.
That's not grandma.
And it's kind of funny because Joy is not a social person, but Joy needs to network, to meet people, to go on the podcast, and
Mm-hmm.
needs to have the ability to meet interesting people more than just everyday people, although everyday people are pretty good too. So that means that I've got to do a lot of legwork to come
Mm-hmm.
up with those groups of people. And it's sort of, you wouldn't think, people say, oh, I'm an introvert or I'm an extrovert type of thing. And somebody said to me the other day, I don't believe in that. I think we're all both. It's just where we want to extend that energy. Suddenly, that introvert is like talking a mile a minute. And the point is that in the right circumstance, one on one, I don't shut the fuck up. Right? In a big room where everybody's got something to say, I have nothing to say.
Nothing. Oh, Joy, I'm so with you on that one. People like, why aren't you contributing? Phyllis, we haven't heard from you. I'm okay.
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
competing with anybody,
Not
but on
at
one on
all.
one, I'm involved in the person, with the person, having a conversation. There's a connection. We're both human beings. I'm touching them. They're touching me. They may become a good friend. They may be, I may never hear from them for 3 years, and then we may end up hooking up again. And they're going to feel like it's just like yesterday that I met you. It's going to be that way, and that's the way I am, not the way everybody else is. There
Yeah.
are other people that can talk in a big audience, and one-on-one they have nothing to say.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that's the way life is.
Yeah.
Now, who's the extrovert and who's the introvert? uh,
You know what? It's all of that what you said fits me so well, because I don't want to compete, but I love to talk. That's why I get excited when I have the opportunity to have one-on-one conversations. Is why my business model is what it is. I get excited talking to people and learning about them and helping them and nurturing them and finding out more about them and all of that kind of stuff. And I can even do that on stage, because I will go on stage and I will point people out and I will say things and I will talk to them personally and I will look around the room. I can do that. But if we're in a crowded room and everybody's talking to everybody, can I have a
yeah,
drink,
it becomes too
please?
much of a competition.
Yeah.
I do
Can I have a drink, please?
it.
That's all. I'm gonna go outside and smoke
However,
a
I'll
cigar.
probably be the last one to leave.
I love the stragglers.
I'll be the
That's when
last
the
one to leave.
conversation gets good.
Yeah, I'll be the last one to leave, and then I'll have my conversation again.
Yeah.
I'm waiting to see, who hangs, and maybe I
Hmm.
can have a conversation with them. Hopefully, it's not the insurance salesman. 'Cause that'll be a bummer.
Yes, I agree. I so agree. But yeah,
So,
it's a
if the concept of marketing and branding is very exciting.
yes, I agree
It
with
really
that.
is very exciting. And it takes a wide range of skills to be the person doing it and be the person receiving it. So the person that is able to help somebody with strategy and to brand them and to organize stuff is so different than the person who's actually living the brand.
Yeah.
It's those are they're two skill sets. I mean, there may be intersections, but I'm merely saying that one person is creating it and living it, and the other person is painting it, um,
Mhm.
molding it, defining it, helping to define it. But it's not the person that has to put it on and walk around with it. So there's lots of different things going on in marketing, which is why I've always found it to be fascinating. I still do. I came initially. Um, I wanted to be an archaeologist, and then I
Mhm.
ended up taking a job just to take a job because I needed to make money. And one would never think that somebody who was so fascinated by culture and language and people and places and things would end up in marketing. But I mean, people, places, and things is what drives marketing.
Yeah. And it's
Knowing people, places, and things, and understanding cultures, and realizing that there are true boundaries, and this is going to work with this, and this is ain't going to work with that, and here's your risk, and this is what's going on. I mean, that's what I love to do, which sort of makes marketing for me a passion as opposed to a profession.
I love that. I love that.
And
And
that's why I love meeting people, new people who do different things. Marketing isn't agreeing with any. I don't need to agree with everybody. If we
mhm.
sat down and started talking about certain things, we might find each other on the opposite poles of some sort of something. That that to me is still fascinating.
Right? It's like you can debate without having to argue. It's like,
Right.
okay, I see your point. I see your point. I don't necessarily change my mind, but I see your point. I get it. And it's being able to incorporate these things because, like I said, even when people are hating on you, I can see the point of your hate. People don't like that I use profanity a lot of times, especially on LinkedIn. Okay, sweetheart, first of all, you don't have to listen or you don't have to follow, you don't have to scroll, any of those things. But I understand why this bothers you. Some people think it's a sign of ignorance. No, it's just the language that I grew up with or that I grew into. Because I promise you, the older I get, the more I cuss. I don't know why it is, but there seems to be a correlation.
But I bet you don't cuss to children.
No, I don't. I don't cuss at children. I have a 16-year-old daughter. Like I said, I had my daughter when I was 42. I do not cuss at
It's
her. I
just
cuss
it's just
around
fun.
her, but I do not cuss at her or my husband. I find that very disrespectful in our
There
relationship.
you
So
go. So
no, never gonna
no,
do.
it is. Forgive me. It's part of your brand. It makes you what it is, and you're able to um, fall into it comfortably, where it describes you. And the people that say, I don't, you're using profanity, it turns me off, they're not your customers
No,
because they're
no,
not going to be able to deal with your truth. And when you're relaxed, so, the word comes out
yeah.
of your mouth.
This
Sorry.
is like the I told somebody, I said, I drink on the job. And they was like, what? If I'm working and all that kind of stuff, because I work from home and how I work, and even if I'm with a client, okay, what are we discussing today? Because depending on if we have to put pen to paper and all that kind of stuff, or if we're just brainstorming. If we're just brainstorming, I probably have a glass of bourbon sitting right here. I don't smoke cigars in the house, so you will never see me with a cigar with my clients only because I do not smoke in the house. But depending on what type of session we're having, sweetie, let's go pour a drink because we about to get serious with some shit.
Yeah.
And so heads are down and we're writing out stuff and we're brainstorming, okay, how we're going to move over here. What is this content going to look like? And all of that kind of stuff. So it's like, and people will take that like, oh, that's just so wrong. She's having alcohol while why is it wrong? because there are so many people that make deals at bars over drinks.
Oh, absolutely. No. I mean,
But if I said I'm doing it on the job, if you're trying to sell me something and you take me out for a drink, sweetie, you're drinking on the job. What's the difference?
right.
From what we see on TV, that's the norm. Taking somebody to a strip club and get them drunk and close the deal. So, but you're offended the fact that I have bourbon and all that kind of stuff in my
Creative business is like that, though. Anything
Yeah.
creative is going to take you there. Anything. If you
And
think that writers write, I mean, Hemingway wrote all his books and he was crocked.
there you go.
So, creativity is a whole different ball of ball. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just, and it's going to go where it's going to go. And, some creative people were drug addicts and unfortunately died.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But they were highly creative.
They were highly creative. One of the guys,
Jimi Hendrix.
his art, Jean Michel. I can never say his last name is French or something, Biscuit or something like that. I hate to jack it up, but it's like dude was addicted and troubled and had needed therapy, ended up dying early. But he was a great artist. And it's some of the times, like I said, because we don't deal with a lot of shit, and this goes back to what I said before, the alignment of life, brand, and business. Sweetie, if I'm trying to be one way over here and another way over there, then I'm trying to compartmentalize. The only thing that's compartmented about me in the Ghetto Country Brandmother is the boundaries that I set, because there are certain things that I just don't want over here.
Right.
I am very clear when I tell people, they laugh all the time. I said, Ghetto Country Brandmother is an empathic bitch. And what that means is that, sweetie, I see it, I feel it. I will cry, I will fight, I will do all the things. But at some point, we're going to have to knuckle the fuck up and get some shit done. We got to grow the fuck up and go over here and do this thing. Phyllis, on the other hand, is a petty bitch. I will cut and cuss you out in a heartbeat because I have gotten mad. My feelings have gotten hurt. So I can't bring the petty over here. Mm-hmm. So that's one of my boundaries. I don't share my husband and my daughter a lot in my business. My clients see my family. One of my clients, he's like, tell Neil to come here. Can we finish the session before you go calling him in the... But they know my family. Mm-hmm. But do you see them in my pictures and my posts? And no, I don't share them like that.
Right.
I don't want somebody being so familiar with my family that you think you can walk up to my daughter at any given point. I used to have a t-shirt. I am one crazy person away from a Lifetime movie. If you fuck with my kid.
No, we all need boundaries. I'm the biggest boundary person in the world. I've defined my world by no before I defined it by yes. And it was the way I learned. I was like, no. Oh yeah. And friends are like, oh, she finally said yes. Because I'll say no before I'll say yes. I don't want to do that. No, I don't like that food. No, I don't want to go there. It's me. It's what I am. But it's, and for a long time, people said I was negative, and I believed I was negative. And then somebody said, no, you were determining your boundaries. And I'm like, yeah, it took a damn time doing it, but I did it. Mm-hmm. And now I don't, I still say no, and my friends laugh when I say it, but they understand because they know when I say yes, I mean yes.
Yes. It's just like
I'm not ready to travel just yet. It has nothing to do necessarily specifically with COVID or anything else or money, or it's just a whole bunch of things. I'm not ready to travel right now. I'll let you know when I am. I'm not saying I'm never going to travel. Mm-hmm. I'm just not going to do it now. I'm looking for the right person. I'm looking for the right time. I'm looking for the, the right place. Well, why don't you just do it and experiment and just because? Then I'm going to have no money. And when I find the right place, I'll be like, oh, I should have waited. Maybe I spent it all and I went downtown.
I can't go.
No, I can't go. I just feel like something really good, a really great episode is going to happen along those lines. And I'm willing to wait for it. I'm willing to wait. So, again, it's all about my boundaries. Yeah. Maybe I'm a fool. Maybe I'll never find it. All right. So call me, shithead. All right. It's all right. I could deal with it. Boy, you were a shithead. You should have. You're right. I should have. I didn't. It's okay. I
Mm-mm.
don't regret much because it's a lesson. And when I die, I die. So that's that.
Yeah.
And we're all going to do it. So really, oh, I should have had a bucket list. Oh, for goodness sake. When I die, I die.
Yeah.
I could be holding the bucket when I die. So what's it? Do I need to jump out of the airplane before I die to know I'll never want to do that
No.
again? Because I'll tell you right now, I don't want to jump out of an airplane.
No, never gonna happen.
No,
Yeah,
I could win the lottery. I'm not jumping out of an airplane.
that part.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love what you said about regrets, because my thing is I don't see regrets and failures anymore. I see lessons. And it's because if I regret anything that's gotten me to this point, that means there is a possibility that I wouldn't have the husband that I have, I wouldn't have the daughter that I have. So how can I regret something that got me here where I find my joy and my passion and my love for what I do? I
That,
can't
that,
regret it. Do
that's
I like that it happened? Hell to the no. But do I regret it? No, because I got a lesson out of it. Did I fail? No, there's no such word to me anymore. I stopped owning that word. I fucking learned a lesson. Some is as big as a $20,000 lesson. I've learned lessons. And some as small as like, don't put your finger on that.
yeah. The failure is a simple moment in time. You're like, oh, that didn't work. Okay, so and you're off.
You're off. You're off.
Okay? So I mean, yeah, the final the final failure in life will be death's door. But again, we're all going to die. So
You're born to die.
I mean,
I think we're getting morbid, but it's
yeah,
the truth.
it's too deep. But
Yeah.
what everybody on this planet has in common: bugs, humans, trees. Everything is going to change. It's going to transform itself, and one uh, one is going to die, and the next one's going to be born.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if it's inevitable, I'll deal with it at some point in time, but it's inevitable anyway. And
Yeah.
I'm hungry. I'd rather eat right now, type of a thing. What's the point? What's the point? I'm thirsty, or whatever it is, or it's time for me to take the dogs for a walk, or I'm going to sleep, or read a book. I mean, you got to go on with your life. So, you know, it's I am still afraid of death, but I put myself in a frame of mind by saying, um, the pain is going to happen before it happens. Once the death is there, there's no more pain.
There's no more pain.
So,
But even looking at that joy, I am 57 years old. And the type of things that I want to do before I check out doesn't have anything to do with me. Yes, I'm like you. I'll travel when I'm ready to travel. I've traveled before. But the thing I want to leave is I want to leave better businesses. I'm
right,
business minded. That's where my heart is. I can talk business all day long. Why I don't talk to my husband all the time about it? Because he's heard it for the last umpteen years. But I want to see more people thriving out here and less people surviving. I
right,
want to see the wealth gap get smaller between the rich and the poor on some level. So it's why I tell you to charge more for you. If it's worth it, fucking charge for it. Not your worth, the worth of the work. That's where the price tag goes. Close this fucking gap and then do something good.
right.
I'm not telling you to go out and give all your money away. No, hell no. Some people what's that saying, pearl before swines? I'm not talking that kind of shit. But there's some good you can leave in the world. And that's what I ain't got much time left to do it. Like I said, I'm 57. I'm way on the downside. I'm just blessed to live to be
You might
100.
have 50 more years to go. You
That's
could
what I
make
said. Unless
100
I'm blessed to live to be 100. Because like one of the things I told my daughter once we had certain conversations, I said one of the things I had to relegate myself to when I had you, that I may never be around to see my grandchildren because I'm having my child at such a late age. She said, "Mom, that's so sad." I said, "No, sweetie, that's life." Because it was also a choice. I made a choice to have you. What comes after is just gravy. That's it.
But, it is a legacy. Everything, I really do look at life as a legacy. It's a powerful miracle. And if I could just leave a little bit,
A little bit.
and that's all
Don't
that
have
I'm
to
aiming
be
for, a little
worldwide,
bit.
just a little
If I
bit.
get a lot of a little bit, wow. If I get a lot of a lot, wowee, wowee, right? I'm just aiming for a little bit. Um, that's all that I'm hoping for. And if I can make one person smile for 15 minutes, I'm done. Thank you. I did it. Now, am I saying that I've already done it so I can screw around? No.
No.
Now I'm aiming for make two people smile for 20 minutes. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That's all that I can do. And it doesn't make me feel better at night. It just makes me realize I'm living that legacy.
Yeah.
That's all I can do. It's
That's
not about how much you paid me for the legacy or the bed that I'm sleeping in. It's for me, it's just, like you said, we're always learning. There's no failure. And if I could pass that on to someone else so that
mhm.
they're thriving and not surviving, like you said, um, that's I think that's what life is all about.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing else, anything. There's nothing else. Sex is completely overrated. Thriving over surviving is where it's at. If you're happy, literally, if you wake up happy and you go to bed happy and you can't wait for tomorrow because there's going to be more happiness and each piece of happiness adds on to another. And when you get sad, it's okay because I'm happy yesterday. I'm happy the minute before I was sad, and I'm happy again. That's it.
Yeah.
And I'm happy whether I got money or I don't have money. I'm happy whether I'm, wearing nice clothes and not wearing nice clothes. I'm happy in a shitty car with no gas. And I'm happy in a big car with, an electric car
The
that I,
limo driver.
whatever. It doesn't, and the point is, thriving and not surviving. And like also what you said about the pay gap, it would be I'm not necessarily, hoping that someday we all make the same amount of money, but I am saying that if we all had the frame of mind where we all realize that what we all have a gift and that gift has a value and we need to be paid for that value.
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how big or small we are, but
Yeah.
finding that value and being able to manage that gift. I'm not saying get money for the gift. I'm not cheapening it. I'm saying that's what life is really all about. It's those gifts that we all have that the next person doesn't, so that we can barter and, thrive together. And that's
Mhm.
how we connect. That's how humanity connects because we've all got something that someone else doesn't. We just need to find that. And sometimes we have the same thing that somebody else has. Yeah, yeah. But I'm saying we all have something that somebody else doesn't. I might say something to you that no one else has ever said, and I might never come up with another brilliant thing to say to you. But that one thing you may go, whoa, I never thought of that way. And I could change your life in a half a second on a street corner and
Mhm.
never see you again. We all have to open ourselves up for that moment. I'm getting too deep, aren't I? Ain't I? But that's what I think life is all about. It's pretty simple.
Yeah. Yeah. And
As
when you throw
complex as it is, it's pretty simple.
yep, when you throw entrepreneurship in it, it's just another level of crazy. That's all.
That's all that it is. It's just like being a professional person.
Mhm.
That's all that it is. I could be a person to you, but I could be a professional person to a group of people, and so on and so forth.
That's it.
And that's it, and that's really it. And that's all that there is. So tell me now, now that I've spouted my philosophy of life, um, and people are like, shh. Tell everybody who's still awake where they can find you on the internet, and if you have any hashtags.
You can find me at brandmosshouse.com. That's where I reside. I am the Ghetto Country Brandmother. You can also find me on LinkedIn, but I'm on there as Phyllis Williams-Strawder by my given name, so that's there. On occasion, I will do some
Phyllis
stuff.
Williams-Strawder.
Yes.
Okay, Strawder.
Yes.
Phyllis with 2 L's.
I hyphenate because people need to know I was a whole ass person before I got married.
Ah,
But what I do a little bit on Instagram, so that is GC Brandmother on there. Twitter is GC Brandmother, but yeah, I don't do that. But you can
yes,
find me. If you look up GC Brandmother anywhere, you will
mm-hmm.
find me. Trust and believe. Facebook,
Oh, very good.
Instagram, TikTok, all of it. I'm there.
Cool. Cool. I look forward to seeing you all over the place as the algorithm works. Now that
That's the algorithm works. Yes.
yeah, all I have to do is touch you once, and I'll be seeing you for at least a week.
There you go.
The way it goes. Well, it was a pleasure talking with you, Grandma, and
Yes.
that
I
comes
love
from
how you say grandma.
I know that comes from an old cartoon. I don't know if you've seen it.
Oh,
Bugs Bunny, Red Riding Hood, and the Wolf.
grandma. Yes.
Now you know. Hey,
Yeah.
Grandma! Now you know where it comes from. That's where it's coming from. It's my favorite
Oh,
cartoon.
goodness.
Because,
Oh,
you know, it's just, there's just, you have to, everybody needs to look it up. Bugs Bunny, Red Riding Hood, and the Wolf. Look it up. Watch the whole thing. It's the best cartoon in the world.
yes. It was one of the
Because
best.
she says, to have, and he says, to have, and they all say, to have. It's just to have. So I'm glad that we had to have this time together.
Now you're crossing over into Carol Burnett.
Yeah. Oh, no,
Okay, our age is showing. We can go now.
we can go there. Thanks very much. And another episode goes off to the east or west coast and fades into the sunset.
There you go.